Okay, in this video I want to talk a little bit about parental resentment and one of the biggest causes of this. And I should first start off by saying that I do believe that a certain level of resentment is going to be mandatory, unavoidable, if you're going to become a parent, if you're going to become a good parent, because being a good parent is going to require lots of sacrifice, obviously, lots of time, energy, money, freedom, opportunity, among a host of other things. And again, to be a good parent, this is going to be unavoidable. You're going to have to sacrifice a lot. And the sacrifices that you will have to make will eventually accumulate and culminate into... The sacrifices are going to be far more steep than you're able to conceptualize them as being before actually becoming a parent. So yeah, you're going to have to make lots and lots of sacrifices. And with this is going to inevitably come some levels of resentment. And I think in many cases, parents are able to keep this in check. They're not able to. They're able to keep it more dormant. Their children don't have to become aware of this unavoidable level of resentment because it's able to be kept in check. But in many cases, in hundreds of millions of cases, this sense of resentment is not going to be so dormant. It's going to be blatant. It's going to be obvious. Their children are going to be acutely aware of just how much they're resented for the crime of being forced into existence. And so how does that happen? Well, oftentimes, you're going to have the greatest amount of resentment felt towards the child as a parent if you are going to have them with someone that you don't actually value as a human being, someone that you don't respect. Whether you're a man or a woman, you're going to conceive them with someone that you don't actually value as a person. And this will oftentimes happen at a quite a young age, because this will often happen at an age where a person hasn't even gotten to know themselves all that intimately. They don't know what they themselves even want out of life and what direction they want to head in terms of... They haven't even thought of a direction. They haven't even thought of a trajectory. They're just indulging in the pleasures of the moment. They're just kind of allowing life to sort of just happen to them. And many people treat relationships this way, where they're very passive in the way in which they get into relationships. They don't have this aim, like I'm attempting to find someone that I want to share lots of years with, someone that is going to mean a great deal to me. And they'll just be looking for someone to, like I said, indulge in. They want someone that they can have a bit of fun with. They're not thinking all that far ahead, which would be fine if this didn't so often result in long-term relationships. You have people getting into these rather casual sort of relationships, and they culminate into long-term relationships. So it starts off as this seemingly inconsequential source of pleasure, and it eventually gradually snowballs into hell. Like I was saying in the previous video, it results in consequences that are just consequences that were given no thought to. consequences that are, again, far more steep than they could have ever imagined them to be. They end up creating people with people that they don't fucking like. And when people are created by people that people are created by parents that don't actually like each other, which so many people are, they're far more likely to turn out fucked up. And that's very bad. And not just for the individual, but for lives around them. No shit, right? It's this obvious thing, but you look at the behaviors of people and you see that they don't have any appreciation for the truth of it. They have no respect for the fact that this is very, very true. You have people at such young ages having children, creating new human beings, an act that profound. And what is leading to that? Mindless, thoughtless, transient pleasure is resulting in the creation of hundreds of millions of human beings that will oftentimes do the same fucking thing. They will do the same exact thing that their parents did. And it's far more complex than, in a real way, it isn't. It isn't that much more complex. It's just, there is a lot that goes into what makes a human being, obviously. There's so much that goes into what makes a person who they are as an individual. But so much of it comes down to who your parents are, who you were created by, who you were forced into existence by, and what the circumstances of that was. And for so many people, that is the circumstances of their conception. Two fucking airheads just fucking one another like animals, like rabbits, just going out and yeah, life is a complex thing, but in many ways, so much of the suffering that is inflicted on this planet is, it's very, very simple. The causal nature of so much of it. The fact that, again, mindless, careless, selfish, apathetic human beings are going to create the most human beings because they will give little to no respect for the seriousness of that act. They will be unable to have even a modicum of appreciation for what it means to do that, what it means to bring someone into existence and open them up to so much potential for harm. Most people who are going to do that aren't going to give the seriousness of that the respect that it clearly warrants. And again, this is multifaceted, obviously, but so much of it has to do with just this seemingly endless causal chain of complete carelessness. Just feels so hopeless. It's best not to think about it too much, because it's a certain level of solipsism is mandatory in order to maintain one's sanity here. It's best not to think about it too hard. Just pretend as though you are the only being in existence and that your suffering is the only thing that's real. The suffering occurring outside of yourself, don't worry about all that. There's no point. Just worry, maybe more from a nepotistic point of view. Just worry about the people closest to you. Because people are going to do what they're going to do. And